The sun was getting low in the sky when Martha Collins saw the ranch house in the distance. Her feet hurt from walking so far. Behind her, two small children walked slowly. Emma was 8 years old with brown hair that needed brushing. Samuel was only 6 and kept asking when they could rest. Martha carried a small bag with all they owned. Her dress was old but clean. She had tried to make herself look neat before coming here. This was important. This could be their last chance. The ranch looked big. There were fields with cattle and horses everywhere. The house was made of wood and had a wide front porch. Smoke came from the chimney. Someone was home. Martha stopped walking and looked at her children. "Remember what I told you?" she said in a quiet voice. "Be good. Don't speak unless someone asks you a question." "This is very important," Emma nodded. She was a smart girl who understood they needed help. Samuel just looked tired and hungry. They had been walking since morning with only bread and water. Martha walked up to the front door. Her heart beat fast. She knocked 3 times and waited. Heavy footsteps came from inside. The door opened. A tall man stood there looking surprised. He had brown hair and kind eyes, but he looked tired too. His clothes were dirty from working outside. "Yes?" the man said. Martha took a deep breath. "I was told you need a cook," she said. She tried to sound strong, but her voice shook a little. "I can cook and clean and work hard. These are my children. They won't be any trouble." The man looked at Martha, then at Emma and Samuel. The children stood very still behind their mother. They had learned to be quiet when grown-ups were talking about important things. "Who told you I needed help?" the man asked. He spoke in a kind voice, not angry. "Mrs. Henderson at the store in town," Martha said. "She said you were having trouble with cooking and keeping house." This was true. Martha had gone to the general store that morning. She had asked if anyone needed help. Mrs. Henderson, a nice older woman, had told her about the rancher who lived alone with his daughter. The man thought for a moment. "I'm Tom Rutherford," he said. "This is my ranch." "I'm Martha Collins," she replied. "These are my children, Emma and Samuel." Tom looked at the 3 people on his porch. The woman seemed honest but scared. The children looked hungry and tired. He had been trying to cook his own meals since his last helper left. The food was terrible and the house was always messy. "Papa?" A voice called from inside. A girl came to the door. She looked about 12 years old with blonde hair and braids. "Who is it?" "This is Mrs. Collins, Rebecca," Tom said to his daughter. "She's looking for work as a cook." Rebecca looked at Martha and the children with curious eyes. She had not seen other children for a long time. Living on the ranch was lonely. Sometimes Martha looked at the girl and smiled a little. "Hello, Rebecca," she said softly. Samuel moved closer to his mother. He was shy around new people. Emma stood straight and tried to look grown-up, even though she was tired. Tom made a decision. "Well, I suppose you should come inside," he said. "It's getting cold out here. We can talk about this over supper, that is, if you can cook better than I can." Martha felt relief wash over her. At least they would have a warm place for the night. "Thank you, Mr. Rutherford," she said. They went inside the house. It was bigger than any place Martha and her children had lived in for a long time, but she could see it needed a woman's touch. Dishes were piled in the kitchen. Dust was on the furniture. Men's clothes were thrown over chairs. "The kitchen is through here," Tom said, leading them to a large room with a big stove and long table. "There's food in the pantry. Not much, but enough for tonight." Martha looked around the kitchen. It was a good kitchen with everything she needed to cook. She rolled up her sleeves. "Children, sit at the table and be quiet," she said. "Mr. Rutherford, if you have some potatoes and meat, I can make a good supper." Tom showed Martha where to find food. She got to work right away. Emma and Samuel sat at the table with Rebecca. The ranch girl asked them questions about where they came from, but Emma just said they had been traveling. As Martha cooked, Tom watched her. She moved around the kitchen like she knew what she was doing. Her hands were quick and sure. The smell of food cooking filled the house. It was a good smell that had been missing for too long. "Mama is a very good cook," Emma told Rebecca quietly. She can make anything taste good even when we don't have much food. Rebecca smiled. I tried to help Papa cook, but it always burns, she said. I'm better at taking care of the horses. Samuel's stomach made a loud noise. Everyone heard it and laughed a little. The boy turned red and hid his face. Supper will be ready soon, Martha said from the stove. She was making stew with potatoes, carrots, and beef. Biscuits were baking in the oven. Everything smelled wonderful. Tom sat down at the table with the children. How long have you been traveling? He asked Martha. Martha stirred the stew. Few weeks, she said carefully. She did not want to tell too much about where they came from or why they left. Where's your husband? Rebecca asked. Children always asked the questions grown-ups were thinking. Martha's hand stopped stirring for just a moment. He died, she said quietly. It's just me and the children now. Tom saw the sadness in Martha's face. He decided not to ask more questions right now. The woman clearly had troubles, but she seemed honest and hard-working. Soon Martha put bowls of hot stew and warm biscuits on the table. Everyone ate hungrily. Tom had not tasted food this good in months. Rebecca smiled as she ate. Emma and Samuel cleaned their bowls completely. This is very good, Mrs. Collins, Tom said. Much better than anything I can make. Thank you, Martha said. She felt hopeful for the first time in weeks. Maybe they could stay here. Maybe they would be safe. After supper, Tom showed Martha and the children where they could sleep. There was a small room behind the kitchen with 2 beds. It was simple, but clean and warm. We can talk about work in the morning, Tom said. For now, rest. You look like you've had a long day. That night, as Martha tucked her children into bed, she felt grateful. They had food in their stomachs and a roof over their heads. Emma and Samuel fell asleep quickly, feeling safe for the first time in many days. Martha lay awake thinking. Tom Rutherford seemed like a good man. His daughter was sweet and lonely. They needed help, and Martha needed work. Maybe this could be the new start they all needed. Outside, the wind blew across the ranch. But inside the house, 4 people slept peacefully, not knowing how much their lives were about to change. 1 week later, the Rutherford house looked like a different place. Martha had cleaned every room. The windows were clear and bright. Clean clothes hung on the line outside. The smell of fresh bread came from the kitchen every morning. Tom could not believe the change. He came home each evening to find hot meals waiting. His daughter Rebecca looked happy. The house felt alive again with the sounds of children playing and Martha singing softly as she worked. Martha got up very early every morning. She started the fire in the stove and put coffee on to cook. She made breakfast for everyone before Tom went out to work with the cattle. She packed him food to eat during the day. No one had done this for him since his wife Sarah died 3 years ago. Emma and Samuel were getting used to life on the ranch. Emma helped her mother with cooking and cleaning. She was a smart girl who learned quickly. Samuel liked to watch the horses and cattle from the porch. He was still shy, but he was starting to smile more. Rebecca was happy to have other children around. She taught Emma and Samuel about ranch life. She showed them how to feed the chickens and collect eggs. She told them about the different animals and how to stay safe around the big cattle. The horses are gentle if you move slowly, Rebecca explained to Samuel one afternoon, but never walk behind them. They might kick if they get scared. Samuel nodded seriously. He wanted to learn everything about ranch life. He followed Rebecca everywhere and asked many questions. Tom watched Martha work around the house. She never complained about the long hours or hard work. She washed clothes, cooked meals, cleaned the house, and took care of 3 children. But he also noticed other things that made him wonder. Sometimes Martha would stop what she was doing and listen carefully when she heard horses coming. She would look out the window with worried eyes. When strangers came to the ranch, Martha would stay in the kitchen and keep the children close to her. One evening, Tom was reading the newspaper by the fire. Martha sat nearby mending clothes. Emma and Samuel were already asleep. Rebecca was at the table doing her schoolwork. Mrs. Collins, Tom said carefully, the children seem very well taught for ... He stopped talking. Martha looked up from her sewing. "For poor children?" she asked. Her voice was a little sharp. "I didn't mean anything bad," Tom said quickly. "It's just that they know their letters and numbers very well. They have good manners. Someone spent time teaching them." Martha's hands shook a little as she went back to sewing. "Their father believed children should learn to read and write," she said. Before things changed. Rebecca looked up from her schoolwork. "What happened to your husband, Mrs. Collins?" she asked. Martha put down her sewing. "He died," she said simply. But Tom saw something pass across her face. Was it sadness? Fear? He could not tell. "How did he die?" Rebecca asked. She was young and curious and did not understand that some questions should not be asked. "Rebecca," Tom said firmly, "that's enough questions for tonight. Finish your schoolwork." Martha stood up quickly. "I should check on the children," she said, and left the room. Tom watched her go. There was something about Martha Collins that did not fit together. She was clearly educated and well-mannered. She knew how to run a house and cook good food. But she had come to his door with just a small bag and 2 hungry children. She was running from something, but what? The next morning, Martha was up before dawn as usual. She had breakfast ready when Tom came to the kitchen. But she was quiet and would not look at him. "Mrs. Collins," Tom said as he drank his coffee, "I'm sorry if Rebecca's questions upset you last night." Martha was making biscuits for lunch. She did not stop working. "It's all right," she said. "Children ask questions. It's normal. If you ever want to talk about anything," Tom said, "I'm a good listener." Martha finally looked at him. Her green eyes were tired. "Some things are better left in the past, Mr. Rutherford," she said. Tom nodded. He understood that some memories were too painful to share. He had his own sad memories about his wife, Sarah. "I understand," he said. That afternoon, Tom was working near the house when he heard laughter. He looked up and saw Martha in the garden with all 3 children. She was teaching them how to plant seeds for next year's vegetables. Emma was asking questions about which plants grew best. Samuel was digging small holes with his hands. Rebecca was helping to measure the rows. Martha looked different when she was with the children. Her face was soft and happy. She smiled as she answered Emma's questions. She helped Samuel when his hole was too deep. She praised Rebecca for doing good work. Tom realized that Martha was not just a cook and housekeeper. She was a mother to all 3 children, not just her own. Rebecca had needed a woman's care since Sarah died. The girl was growing up and needed someone to teach her things that Tom did not know how to teach. As the days passed, Tom found himself looking forward to coming home each evening. The house was warm and welcoming. Martha always had supper ready and the children were clean and happy. Sometimes they would all sit by the fire after eating. Tom would read aloud from books or newspapers. Martha would help the children with their letters. Rebecca would tell stories about things that happened on the ranch. These were peaceful times. Tom had not felt this content since before Sarah died. But he also found himself watching Martha more and more. She was a beautiful woman, even though she tried to hide it. She pulled her auburn hair back in a simple knot. She wore plain dresses and worked hard with her hands. But Tom could see her natural grace and the kindness in her eyes. One evening, Tom was carrying wood for the fire when he heard Martha singing in the kitchen. She had a sweet voice and was singing a lullaby that he remembered his own mother singing years ago. The sound made him stop and listen. It had been so long since there was music in the house. When Martha saw him standing there, she stopped singing and turned red. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't know you were listening." "Don't be sorry," Tom said. "It was beautiful." Sarah used to sing that same song to Rebecca when she was little. Martha smiled sadly. "I used to sing it to Emma and Samuel when they were babies," she said. That night, Tom lay in his bed thinking about Martha. She had brought so much life back to his house. Rebecca was happier, the meals were good. Everything was clean and organized. But more than that, Martha herself was. Tom stopped thinking. It was too soon to have such feelings. Sarah had only been dead 3 years. And he knew very little about Martha's past. But Tom could not help noticing how Martha cared for his daughter. She brushed Rebecca's hair and taught her how to cook simple things. She helped the girl with her sewing and listened when Rebecca talked about her mother. "I miss Mama," Rebecca told Martha one day as they worked in the kitchen. "I know you do," Martha said gently. "It's good to miss people we love. It means they were important to us." "Do you miss your husband?" Rebecca asked. Martha was quiet for a long moment. "I miss the good times," she said finally. "But sometimes it's better to look forward instead of backward." Tom heard this conversation from the next room. There was something in Martha's voice that made him think her marriage had not been completely happy. But she loved her children, that was clear. And she was teaching Rebecca that it was all right to have feelings about losing a parent. As winter started to come, Tom knew that Martha and her children had become part of his family. They all worked together and took care of each other. Emma helped with cooking. Samuel was learning to do small jobs around the ranch. Rebecca was like a big sister to the younger children, but Tom also knew that Martha was still keeping secrets. Sometimes at night he saw her standing by the window looking out into the darkness. She would jump if she heard unexpected sounds. When people came to the ranch to do business, Martha would send the children to their room and stay hidden in the kitchen. Tom wanted to ask Martha about her fears, but he did not want to push her away. She and her children had brought happiness back to his life. Whatever she was running from, Tom hoped it would never find her here. Winter came early to the ranch that year. Snow covered the ground and the wind was cold. But inside the house, everything was warm and peaceful. Martha had made curtains for the windows and rugs for the floors. The children played games by the fire in the evenings while Tom read to them from books. Tom found himself falling in love with Martha, though he tried not to think about it. She was kind and strong and beautiful. She had made his house into a real home again. She took care of Rebecca like her own daughter. When Rebecca was sick with a cold, Martha sat up all night taking care of her. "Thank you," Tom told Martha the next morning. "You didn't have to do that." "Of course I did," Martha said simply. "She's just a child. She needs someone to take care of her." Rebecca got better quickly with Martha's care. The girl loved having a mother figure again. Martha taught her how to bake bread and sew clothes. She brushed Rebecca's hair and told her stories. Rebecca began to call Martha Mama Martha when she thought no one was listening. Emma and Samuel were happy too. They had warm beds and good food every day. They went to school in town with Rebecca. Samuel was learning to read and Emma was the best student in her class. In the evenings, they helped with chores and played with Rebecca. "I like it here," Emma told her mother one night as Martha tucked her into bed. "Can we stay forever?" Martha's heart hurt a little. She wanted to stay forever too. But she was always afraid that their past would catch up with them. "We'll see," she told Emma. "Go to sleep now." Tom had started thinking about asking Martha to marry him, but he wanted to know more about her past first. She never talked about her dead husband or where they had lived before. Sometimes Tom caught her staring out the window with a worried look on her face. One December morning, Tom's feelings were answered when Martha made his favorite breakfast without being asked. She had remembered that he liked his eggs cooked a certain way and his coffee strong. Such a small thing, but it showed that she cared about making him happy. "This is perfect," Tom told her as he ate. "Thank you." Martha smiled and her cheeks turned pink. "You work hard," she said. "You should have a good breakfast." Tom wanted to tell her how he felt, but the words would not come. He was afraid of scaring her away. She seemed happy here, but he could tell she was still guarding her heart. That same morning, Rebecca was in the barn taking care of the horses when she saw two men riding toward the house. They were strangers on fancy horses, wearing good coats despite the cold weather. Something about them made Rebecca feel nervous. She ran to the house to tell her father. But when she got to the kitchen window, she saw Martha standing there looking out. Martha's face was white with fear and her hands were shaking. "Mama Martha?" Rebecca said quietly. "What's wrong?" Martha spun around. Her green eyes were wide with terror. "Rebecca, I need you to listen carefully," she said in a voice that shook. Go get your father right now. Tell him there are men here who are not friends. Then take Emma and Samuel to the root cellar and stay there until someone comes for you." Rebecca had never seen Martha look so scared. "But who are they?" she asked. "Please, Rebecca," Martha begged. "Just do what I say, hurry." Rebecca ran to find her father. Tom was in the barn checking on the cattle. "Papa," she called. "Mama Martha says there are bad men coming and we need to hide." Tom looked up sharply. He could hear horses outside now. "Where is Martha?" he asked. "In the kitchen. She's really scared, Papa." Tom grabbed his rifle from where it hung on the barn wall. "Take Emma and Samuel to the root cellar like she said," he told Rebecca. "Stay there until I come get you." Rebecca ran back to the house. Martha was gathering the children quickly. "Come on," she told them. "We need to go to the cellar now." "Why?" Samuel asked. He was confused and starting to get scared too. "It's a game," Martha said, trying to sound calm. "We're going to hide and see how quiet we can be." Emma was 8 and smart enough to know this was not a game. She took Samuel's hand and followed Martha and Rebecca out the back door to the root cellar. It was a small room under the ground where they kept vegetables and preserved food for winter. Once the children were hidden, Martha told Rebecca the truth. "Those men are looking for me and my children," she said quietly. "My husband was involved with some very bad people before he died. They think I owe them money." "But do you?" Rebecca asked. "No," Martha said. "But they don't care about the truth. They just want to hurt us." Rebecca felt angry. She had grown to love Martha and Emma and Samuel. They were her family now. "Papa won't let them hurt you," she said firmly, outside. Tom walked to the front of the house where the 2 men were getting off their horses. They were well dressed but had hard faces and cold eyes. These were not friendly visitors. "Good morning," Tom said politely, but he kept his rifle ready. "What can I do for you?" The taller man smiled, but it was not a nice smile. "We're looking for a woman named Martha Collins," he said. "We heard she might be working here." "I don't know anyone by that name," Tom lied easily. The second man laughed. "Come now, Mr. Rutherford. We know she's here. We've been following her trail for weeks. A woman and 2 children asking for work. It's not hard to track." Tom's heart beat faster, but he kept his voice steady. "Like I said, you've got the wrong place." The tall man stepped closer. "Mr. Rutherford, we don't want any trouble with you. This is between us and Mrs. Collins. Her husband owed our boss a lot of money before he died. We just want to collect what's ours." "Even if this woman was here," Tom said, "what makes you think a widow with children would have money to pay debts?" "Oh, we're not looking for money anymore," the second man said with an ugly grin. "We're looking for justice. Marcus Collins cheated our boss before he died. Now his family has to pay." Tom understood now. These men were not just looking for money. They wanted to hurt Martha and her children. The thought made Tom's blood boil with anger. "You need to leave my property," Tom said, raising his rifle slightly. "Now?" The tall man looked around the ranch. He could see that Tom had hired hands who would come if there was trouble, but he also knew where Martha was hiding. "We'll go for now," he said. "But we'll be back, Mr. Rutherford, and next time we'll bring more men. You're protecting a woman who's brought nothing but trouble to your door." The 2 men got back on their horses and rode away slowly. Tom watched until they were out of sight, then ran to the root cellar. "It's me," he called down. "They're gone." Martha climbed out first, then helped the children. Her face was pale and her hands were still shaking. Emma and Samuel looked scared and confused. "Tom," Martha said, her voice breaking, "I'm so sorry." "They're right. I've brought danger to your home, to Rebecca. We should leave right away." Tom took Martha by the shoulders and looked into her eyes. "Martha Collins," he said firmly, "you. Listen to me. This is your home now if you want it to be. Those men don't get to decide where you belong." "But they'll come back," Martha said, starting to cry. "They'll hurt you and Rebecca because of me." "Then we'll be ready for them," Tom said. "You're not running anymore, Martha. We're going to face this together." Rebecca came up from the cellar and put her arms around Martha. "Papa's right," she said. You're our family now. We don't let family face trouble alone." Emma and Samuel looked up at Tom with hopeful eyes. They wanted to stay too, but they were scared of the bad men. That night, Tom sat by the fire thinking about what to do. Martha had finally told him the whole truth about her husband and why she was running. Her husband Marcus had worked for dangerous men who ran illegal gambling in Kansas City. When he tried to get out, they killed him. Now they wanted to kill Martha and the children too, just for revenge. Tom made a decision. He would not let anything happen to Martha or her children. He would protect his family no matter what it cost. The next morning, Tom did not waste time. He rode to town early to talk to Sheriff Williams. The sheriff was a good man who had known Tom for many years. "Those men will be back," Tom told the sheriff. "They want to hurt Martha and her children." "I need help." Sheriff Williams listened to the whole story. "I'll send word to the federal marshals," he said. "Men like this usually have bigger crimes to answer for. But it might take time for help to come." "Then I'll handle it myself if I have to," Tom said. "You're not alone in this," the sheriff said. "I'll talk to some of the other ranchers. No one wants criminals thinking they can terrorize families in our county." Tom also stopped at the general store to buy more ammunition for his rifle. Mrs. Henderson asked why he needed so much. "Just being careful," Tom said. He did not want to worry the whole town, but he wanted to be ready. When Tom got home, he found Martha packing clothes into her small bag. Emma and Samuel sat on the bed watching sadly. They did not want to leave, but they were scared of the bad men. "What are you doing?" Tom asked. "We're leaving," Martha said without looking at him. "I won't put your family in danger anymore." Tom took the bag from her hands and set it down. "We talked about this yesterday," he said. "This is your home. You're not running." "You don't understand," Martha said, her voice shaking. "These men kill people. They killed my husband just for trying to leave their organization. They'll kill you too if you try to protect us." Rebecca appeared in the doorway. "We're not scared of them," she said bravely. "Are we, Papa?" Tom smiled at his daughter. "No, we're not scared," he said. "And we don't abandon family when there's trouble." Martha started to cry. "I never had a real family before," she said quietly. "Marcus was not a good husband. He was mean when he drank, and he was always angry about something. When he died, I was sad, but also relieved. The children were happier without him yelling all the time." Tom understood now why Martha had seemed afraid to trust him. Her husband had hurt her and the children. She was not used to men who were kind and gentle. "Not all men are like your husband," Tom said softly. "You and the children are safe here. I promise." That afternoon, Tom's ranch hands came back from checking the cattle in the far fields. There were 3 good men who had worked for Tom for years. Their names were Jake, Pedro, and young Bill. Tom told them about the danger. "Those men threatened Mrs. Collins and the children," Tom said. "They might come back with more men to cause trouble." Jake was the oldest of the ranch hands. He had worked for Tom's father before Tom was born. "We'll stand with you, boss," he said. "A man who threatens women and children is no man at all," Pedro and young Bill agreed. They all got their rifles and checked that they had enough ammunition. Tom felt better knowing he had good men to help him. 2 days later, the bad men came back. This time there were 6 of them instead of 2. Martha saw them coming from the kitchen window and ran to get the children. "Root cellar now," she told them. "Remember, stay quiet no matter what you hear." Rebecca, Emma, and Samuel ran to hide. Martha wanted to go with them, but she knew the men would search the house if they did not find her. She had to face them. Tom and his ranch hands were ready. They had positioned themselves around the ranch buildings with good places to shoot if needed. Sheriff Williams had arrived that morning with 2 deputies. They hid in the barn. The 6 men rode up to the house, looking confident. Their leader was the same tall man from before. His name was Graves. The shorter man was called Carson. The other 4 looked like hired killers. "Mr. Rutherford," Graves called out. "We've come back for Mrs. Collins. We know she's here. Make this easy on yourself and hand her over." Tom stepped onto his front porch with his rifle. "I told you before." You're not welcome here. 6 against 1, Carson laughed. Those aren't good odds for you, Cowboy. Who says it's 6 against 1? Jake called out from behind the water trough. He stood up with his rifle pointed at the men. Pedro appeared from behind the barn. Young Bill stepped out from behind a wagon. Sheriff Williams and his deputies came out of the barn with their guns drawn. Now it's 6 against 6, Tom said, and we're fighting for our home and family. What are you fighting for? Graves looked around nervously. This was not going the way he had planned. We're here on business, he said. Marcus Collins owed our boss money. Marcus Collins is dead, Sheriff Williams said loudly. His debts died with him. His wife and children don't owe you anything. That's not how we do business, Carson said angrily. Well, that's not how we do business either, Tom replied. Around here, we protect women and children from men like you. Just then, Martha came out of the house and stood beside Tom on the porch. She was scared, but trying to be brave. I'm Martha Collins, she said in a clear voice. You want me? Here I am. But my children have done nothing wrong. Leave them alone, Graves smiled his ugly smile. We're not interested in just you anymore, lady. Your husband caused our boss a lot of trouble before he died. Now we want payment for all our time and effort tracking you down? The only payment you're going to get is a jail cell, Sheriff Williams said. I've been talking to the federal marshals. They'd been looking for your gang for months. Seems you boys have been robbing and killing people all across Kansas and Missouri. The faces of the 6 men changed. They had not expected law enforcement to be involved. You can't prove anything, Graves said, but his voice was not as confident as before. Actually, we can, a new voice said. 2 men on horseback rode up to the group. They wore badges that said, "U.S. Marshal." We've been tracking you, gentlemen, for quite some time. One of the marshals looked at Martha. Mrs. Collins, you're not in any trouble. These men have been using your husband's death as an excuse to rob and kill innocent people. Your husband never owed their boss any money. He was trying to help us catch them when they murdered him. Martha felt dizzy with relief and confusion. Marcus was helping you? She asked. Yes, ma'am. He came to us months before he died. He wanted to get out of the criminal life and protect his family. He was giving us information about their operations when they found out and killed him. Martha started to cry. All this time, she had thought Marcus died because he was a criminal. Now she learned he died trying to be a better man and father. The 6 bad men realized they were trapped. Graves tried to draw his gun, but Jake was faster. Soon all 6 men were surrounded and disarmed. The marshals put them in chains. These men will hang for murder, one marshal told Tom. Mrs. Collins and her children are safe now. As the marshals led the criminals away, Martha fell to her knees crying. All the fear and worry she had carried for months was finally over. Tom knelt beside her and held her while she cried. Rebecca, Emma, and Samuel came running from the root cellar. They had heard the shooting stop and wanted to know if it was safe. It's over, Tom told them. The bad men are gone forever. That evening, the family sat together by the fire. Martha told them what the marshal had said about Marcus trying to change his life. Maybe he wasn't such a bad man after all, Rebecca said gently. He made mistakes, Martha said. But in the end, he tried to do the right thing for us. Tom took Martha's hand. You don't have to be afraid anymore, he said. You can have the life you want now. Martha looked around at Tom, Rebecca, Emma, and Samuel. They were all looking at her with love in their eyes. For the first time since Marcus died, Martha felt truly free and safe. I want this life, she said. Quietly, I want this family. Tom smiled and squeezed her hand. Then it's yours, he said. Forever. Christmas morning came 3 weeks after the bad men were taken away. Martha woke up early as always, but this time she felt different. She was not afraid anymore. The danger was over, and they were safe. She went to the kitchen to start breakfast, and found a small box on the table with her name on it. Inside was a beautiful ring with a small diamond. Tom was standing in the doorway watching her. Martha Collins, he said softly, will you marry me? Martha looked at the ring, then at Tom's kind face. Her heart was full of happiness. "Yes," she said, "yes, I will marry you." Tom put the ring on her finger and kissed her gently. They heard footsteps on the stairs and saw 3 children peeking around the corner. Rebecca was grinning widely. Emma and Samuel looked excited but a little confused. "Does this mean you're going to be our new mama for real?" Samuel asked Martha. Martha knelt down and hugged him. "If you want me to be," she said. "Yes," all 3 children said at the same time. They ran to hug Martha and Tom together. The wedding was planned for spring when the weather was warmer. Martha had never had a real wedding before. When she married Marcus, they had gone to a judge with no family or friends present. This time would be different. Mrs. Henderson from the general store helped Martha make a beautiful white dress. The other ranch women came to help with cooking and decorating. Sheriff Williams offered to give Martha away since she had no father to do it. Even the federal marshals came back for the wedding. Rebecca was so proud to be Martha's maid of honor. She wore a pretty blue dress that matched her eyes. Emma and Samuel were excited to have such an important day for their family. The wedding was held outside on a beautiful spring day. Flowers were blooming everywhere and the sky was bright blue. People came from all over the county to celebrate with them. When Martha walked down the aisle, Tom thought she was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. She was not afraid anymore. She stood tall and smiled with real happiness. "Do you, Thomas Rutherford, take Martha to be your wife?" the preacher asked. "I do," Tom said firmly. "Do you, Martha Collins, take Thomas to be your husband?" "I do," Martha said with tears of joy in her eyes. When they kissed, everyone cheered. Rebecca, Emma, and Samuel clapped the loudest of all. At the party after the wedding, people ate cake and danced to music. Martha had never felt so happy. She was surrounded by friends and family who cared about her. Her children were safe and loved. She had a good husband who would never hurt her. "Thank you," Martha told Tom as they danced together. "For what?" Tom asked. "For giving us a home," she said. "But for making us a family, you gave me just as much," Tom said. "You brought life back to this house. You made Rebecca happy again. You made me feel whole again." As the years passed, Tom and Martha's family grew and was happy. They had 2 more children together, a little girl named Sarah after Tom's first wife, and a boy named Marcus after Martha's first husband. The older children loved their new baby. Brother and sister Emma grew up to be a teacher in the town school. She was smart and kind and helped other children learn to read and write. Samuel became a fine rancher who worked alongside Tom taking care of the cattle and horses. Rebecca married a good man from a neighboring ranch and had children of her own, the Double R. Ranch became known for miles around as a place where people were always welcome. Martha never forgot what it felt like to be hungry and afraid. When travelers came looking for food and shelter, she always made room at her table. Sometimes other women came to the ranch running from bad husbands or dangerous situations. Martha would help them find safe places to go and new lives to build. She understood what it meant to need a second chance. Tom and Martha were happy together for many years. They worked side by side, running the ranch and raising their children. They never had much money, but they had everything that mattered: love, family, and a good life. On quiet evenings, Martha and Tom would sit on their porch watching the sunset over the grassland. Sometimes Martha would think about that desperate day when she knocked on Tom's door claiming to need work as a cook. "I was told you needed a cook," she had said. What she did not know then was that they all needed so much more than that. They needed each other. They needed the healing that comes from building a family from broken pieces. They needed the courage to fight for the love and peace they found together. One evening, when Martha was an old woman with gray hair, a young woman came to the ranch with 2 small children. She looked tired and scared, just like Martha had looked so many years before. "I was told you might have work," the young woman said. "I can cook and clean. My children won't be any trouble." Martha smiled and opened the door wide. "Come in," she said kindly. "You look hungry. Let's get you some supper and we can talk." As Martha led the woman and children into the warm kitchen, she remembered her own arrival at this same door. Everyone deserved a chance for a new beginning. Everyone deserved to find a place where they belonged. The Double R Ranch had given Martha more than just work and shelter. It had given her a real family, true love, and a purpose in life. She had come looking for a job as a cook, but she had found her home. Tom came in from the barn and saw the new family at his kitchen table. He looked at Martha and smiled. Without saying a word, they both understood. This was how their story had begun, and this was how they would help other stories begin too. The ranch would always be a place where people could start over, where children could grow up safe and loved, where families were built not just from blood, but from choice and care and commitment to each other. Martha took the young woman's hand and said gently, "You're safe now. Tomorrow we'll talk about work, but tonight, just rest." "You're home?" Outside, the wind blew across the grassland, under a sky full of stars. Inside the ranch house, another family was beginning their journey toward hope and healing. Just as Martha's had so many years before, the circle of kindness continued, passed from one generation to the next, proving that sometimes the most important things in life come to us when we're brave enough to knock on a stranger's door and ask for help. And sometimes the most important things in life come to us when we're brave enough to open that door and say yes to someone in need. Martha's story had started with fear and desperation, but it ended with love and belonging. She had found her place in the world, and she had spent the rest of her life helping others find theirs too. That was the true measure of a life well lived. Not just finding happiness for yourself, but helping others find it too. The Double R Ranch stood as proof that home is not just a place, but the people who choose to love and protect each other. And that family is not just about blood relations, but about the bonds we create when we open our hearts to those who need us most.